welcome back to The Gifted Ones. I am your host, Liz Throp, and today's special guest and expert in her field is going to show us how paying attention to the stars and planets can benefit all. Please join me in welcoming Milada Sakic. Milada is a business astrologer, healer, and teacher. She is known for her inspiring astrology writing and intuitive coaching about ongoing planetary shifts and cosmic cycles. And folks, this gal knows her business. In her private and group coaching programs, Milada helps healers and creative visionaries to be clear, consistent, and relevant in their marketing to emerge as leading voices in their niche. She is teaching her next Astrology for Business online group course starting August 21st, as well as the soul level healing modality, the Akashic Records, by Soul's Journey Akashic Records certification program. Our good close friend Jennifer. And not to mention, I also noticed that you do astrology for investing, and how cool is that? So without further ado, welcome to The Gifted Ones, Milada.
Thank you very much.
Oh,
it really is my joy and honor to be here. So thank you for inviting me and really giving the opportunity to share on this very special day for me here to connect with you. I know we've been in touch for a bit.
I know.
One way or the other.
I know. Well, I say to a lot of people, like when I'm interviewing them, I get all my interviewees through Facebook, just cool people that I have been following for years, and your insight and knowledge of the stars is off the charts. Your predictions have been off the charts. I have followed you, like I said, for a good couple of years, easily. And I have to just say, I adore you. You're amazing. So,
thank you very much, Liz. Likewise. You're one of those special people. So
thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. So let's get started because we don't have a lot of time today. But what is astrology, especially for people who've never heard the term before? But what is it exactly?
Well, in essence, astrology really is the language of the stars. That's basically what the meaning is, and for me, it's really my original language, and I live and breathe it. For anybody who maybe hasn't heard about it, or who's maybe seen the horoscopes in the magazines, and maybe just knows it a tiny little bit, astrology is one of the most ancient sciences. It's really the science and art of understanding, following and understanding the cosmic cycles and cosmic influences, in particular the ones obviously in our closest galaxy in the solar system. So really the relationship between the moon, the sun, and the earth primarily, but really other planets and some fixed stars, as we call them, in the solar system, how they are helping us to really know ourselves, as I like to say, to find our really path back to wholeness, but also importantly, as I think we're going to touch on that as well, understanding the importance of knowing the cosmic cycles and how they inform and can help us really to inform the life on Earth, so that we don't get caught up in, as business owners, as even investors, we get caught up in the market cycles and quarter to quarter. There are bigger cycles than that can help us to really understand ourselves and really our relationship with the cosmos.
It's amazing. It's amazing. I had my first chart done when I was probably, I want to say I was 16 or 17, and it blew me away how well that person knew me just based on where all my planets fell. And so I have been an amateur following it, not even close to your level of awareness in it, but following it. And then I found you, and it's just like you bring so much to the table. So anybody watching this, you do live videos almost weekly, it feels like, that where you're putting out information about what you can expect this week, and it's exciting stuff. So if you haven't met Milada before, this is a gal you want to follow on Facebook for sure. Most people watching will already know what their sun sign is. So for example, I'm a Scorpio because I was born in October on the 30th. What is the difference between an astrology report and a horoscope?
Yeah, great. Thank you. Really great question. And I'm glad you're asking that because, as you said, many people don't know some. And, we can see really astrology being popularized. You will hear me say, thanks to Uranus and Taurus. That was one of my predictions, you could say. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. We can really see how it's almost like every other person that even used to say, oh, I don't know about astrology, I don't believe astrology, is now following the full moon and new moon cycles and so on and so forth.
Absolutely.
So it's absolutely, becoming really, really more, I find, valuable and even more specific in its application. So back to your question. So astrology report, which I presume you're referring to, more personalized view of really understanding our own psyche and our own path based on our birth time and place, as well compared to horoscopes in a magazine, which are really, typically more written from a more popularized, more generic, if you like, perspective based on our sun signs that do add value. I mean, they have popularized astrology where it is today, but of course, really knowing, as you said, just, you having your first reading and at, such young age, and I hear this continually, how much wealth of information that is available to us especially when you know your time of birth. That definitely adds a more personalized approach to it. And every astrologer does it differently, so there is that in perspective from that particular astrologer, whether it's a healer as well, or there are just many approaches out there, also adds to that. So for me, as you mentioned earlier, when I look, especially now, especially in the last 2-3 years, since the astrology for business came through and now astrology for investing, and really with the underpinning for me of the astrology of wholeness, that's to me where it starts. And so when you say astrology report, to me, that's really what we're chatting about. How I can help you to become more whole, and then really, what are your core gifts? How you can align your marketing and basically, your money channels, and we'll chat a little bit about why that may be relevant for the upcoming year, compared to just reading a little bit about your sun sign, for example. That also adds value, but just on a different level. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Now that's where you kind of take it to another level in focusing on business for people, which is off the charts awesome. It's not just about me, it's about what I need to think about financially for the upcoming year or years ahead. It's amazing what you do. Explain to our viewers why it would be good for them to know what's in their chart. Like what's in it for them? Like give them an example of why it would be a good thing to know.
So thank you once again. So to me, again, really knowing yourself is really the fundamental to, being a good citizen of the world, and really understanding our biases, like especially in today's world, right? We can see how this is now more relevant than ever. From a business perspective, there is also something that I talk about just more I'm speaking now from having a platform and being a leader out there who, let's say, as a business owner, I see oftentimes people not sure, what do they want to talk about, especially right now with everything that's going on, how do I keep on message? What is my message? Who are my people? Who do I serve? And then the perennial question, how can I make more money while staying healthy, taking care of myself, right? So really those fundamental questions that I struggled with very early on when I launched my business full-time in 2014 after 16 years of working in corporate Canada. I have been obsessively really looking to understand and learn from my own mistakes and really bring that into basically conversations and courses that are really going to provide that value to my beloved clients and students and really anybody who is meant to receive from me. So again, I bring it to that particular perspective. As I said, everybody's going to have their own, and this is actually in part what I would like to think sets me apart from others, and this is what I teach, is knowing what your niche is, knowing what basically why people should come to you, right? Yes. So again, if you're struggling with marketing and then converting that into sales on a consistent basis, if you're a little bit stressed out about what's going on in the world and waiting for the next elections to decide, our fate for the next 4 years, or whatever, right? As of 2020, or you're hearing the news about the market and all of that. And this is what I teach in Astrology for Investing. It's not and Astrology for Business as well, in part, is we got to know ourselves first. What do we What do we need
Yes.
as parents? What do we need as business owners? How do we recharge ourselves? And then let's make sure that we are knowing what our unique contribution is and how we can monetize that if that's what we are looking. And then I do find bridging that. I also help healers to integrate astrology in their business as well, which many of them are finding it, very, very helpful because it gives them a framework
Yes.
for some of those intangible things. And,
Exactly.
Understanding, really how do I align on that marketing? How do I, what I like to call your messaging harmonic? Because sometimes we're following our mentors, people that we love, that we appreciate, and then we want to, they're modeling a lot of those things, leadership and so on in powerful ways. But we have our own way that's actually going to be really most worthwhile for us to discover, and then importantly to obviously take action and apply that, and then yet stay aware of what's happening in the world, because that's in part what the next year, and really we've already seen in the last couple of years at least, is asking us as well. Really to be part of humanity and not just say it, but really show up,
show up and be there
more, and to help each other as much as we can.
So true. So true. No, it's definitely one of the things because you just brought something up on Facebook not too long ago about helping people find their greatness and making it part of their going forward plan. I can't remember the details on that, but I thought the impact. Yeah. And I thought that is so cool. You're so cool that you're bringing this forward, because we all need, we all need a direction, no matter, like, I do what I do. And when something like that triggers you, it's special, right? Like, so it's one of those things that you bring to the table very often. You kind of trigger people to wake them up and go, okay, because it's not, you clearly are. I'm kind of rambling, so I'm going to stop and start again. You clearly are gifted in more ways than just the astrology. So would you liken yourself to be a psychic or intuitive or empath? Would you label yourself as that?
Well, that's an interesting question. Now, a lot of people will refer to me as psychic and just Milada.
Yeah.
The wise person. And I consider myself a really financial and business astrologer and healer and teacher, primarily just because I had found that that's my primary, which sometimes can even be a little bit like, okay, Milada, not everything has to be a teaching opportunity, but that's my primary thing. So that's the way, if I were to label myself. Having said that, something that I've avoided for the longest time, and we've kind of briefly touched on this just before we started, is my relationship with actually sharing predictions, sharing things that I feel are relevant. And by the way, after checking in with my intuition as well, and that's, I think, what you were also alluding to. It's the intuitive part where, for example, working in the Akashic Record has been very, very helpful, and really blending that with astrological wisdom has been phenomenal. And then basically looking for really ways, as I like to call it, to integrate, for example, journaling, I call it astro journaling, in the record, and then knowing my design and what my contribution is here, and then going back in. So, for example, if I see an astrological prediction, I'm going to check in, or I will just know in my heart whether, and sometimes I am fighting, I'm like, no, do I need to talk about this? Or could we just
I know that feeling.
Right? Spiritual stuff. So there is that, and I know you can. And so when I share, for example, when I talked about the housing affordability crisis back in 2017, when many people, including real estate agents, were like, no way, there's no way stopping this, or basically people just didn't see that there was going to be a correction, but astrologically you could see that. Back in 2018, when I was also like, no, I don't want to be posting about, about the market corrections and so on and so forth. But I did. I was strongly guided back in this October 1st, 2018, which was just 2 weeks or a week to 2 weeks before, when I said, if you're holding on to anything this month and it's overvalued, time to let it go. Because it was the week when I was strongly decided to sell 95% of our investment portfolio here.
Wow.
Buy a house and a home that I was avoiding buying because I'm like,
Yes.
I don't want to be buying into a recession. I know it's just, but then also checking in and then saying, I'm doing this and I'm strongly guided. People need to know.
Yes.
And this is how I go in and check in and, kind of doing a little bit of that battling. And I think you can relate as well when you just know, I got to talk about this.
Yeah.
And so talking about the impact, how can we make a bigger, this was just the most recent one, and then also, so there is the generational perspective, generational healing, the ancestral patterns. How do we integrate these aspects of ourselves that are continually sort of resolving certain paradoxes within ourselves, and how we can actually really make that into our strength. So a lot of the things that healers are struggling with, this is why I've been guided, because I will ask, why do I need to talk about it? Just give me, I need to hear that stronger. So this because, and I talk about this in my classes as well, there are a lot of astrological programming also that's being taught and that people are taking in. Oh, if I have, Saturn in Cancer, Saturn is in, not such a convenient position, that must be something, not as helpful. Where for me, I'm a contrarian in that sense, and I've been strongly guided to talk about really re-empowering people, including astrologers, to really see where we need leaders out there. And this includes, I'm talking grassroots leaders, such as you, Liz, and what you and I are doing, to understand our design and say, these are the aspects of my being that I actually need to integrate. And these are the leaders that can see the opposite perspective, that can step into, like, for example, the leader of the New Zealand, right?
Yes.
Where people will say, she's, it's my goodness, like she's both steel and, right, she's got compassion. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So
the world is needing us. The world is needing all of these new leaders. Like it's, and I think that's one of the reasons why I love following you, because you do have that way of thinking that is just spot on my message. So you mesh with my energy, which I love. What can our viewers expect from the year ahead if you've been, following, your side, like you've been following all the charts? What can we expect in the next year?
Mm-hmm.
I know, loaded question much, right?
It is a loaded question because truly this 2020 and even the next 6 months, which is why, you have seen just the recent amplification in my own, I gotta be out there and talk and help people prepare, even though I'm not a big fan of the word prepare, to be honest. I'm more about like being present and just really doing the best that we can. However, the 2020 truly is going to be, we're going to have earth changes, which I know a lot of us, intuitively and psychically, we can feel that, we can know that. We're going to be experiencing. Another thing as well is, which we have already seen in the past year, but it's going to get amplified pretty much, as I said, just very recently on Facebook, in the next 6 months. So January 2020 is going to be significant in just really recognizing that we are now globally, and in particular with certain countries, but globally in a what we call economic contraction cycle. And then my purpose and my mission is really to now help healers and those who are also looking to, who have businesses and investors that maybe in the past would have been like, it's just reserved for the wealthy. That used to be me a few years ago. And now I'm like, stop saying that. It's not just reserved for the wealthy.
That's right.
If I have done it, and if I am so committed to help you and whoever is willing to listen, because I share a lot on Facebook, right, freely as well, and that, especially when I'm guided, is important to understand that 2020, as I'm going to say highly transformational it's going to be, as again, both earth changes as well as economic shifts. We're ending an economic expansion cycle. The age of accountability basically is going to peak. So this is really going to be, we could say, oh, that sounds heavy. But
I'm excited about it.
A lot of us have been following what's been happening for my beloved friends in the United States, feeling for you big time, because here in Canada, we're obviously connected to more ways than one, and in Europe as well. We can see that maybe 5 years ago where we thought, accountability, those leaders are never going to, right?
That's
the corruption,
right.
all of that. It is going to change. Mark my words.
Thank
and
goodness.
I talked about the age of accountability starting when I think everybody was like, what is she maybe talking?
Yes,
Because I can
I
hear
remember.
myself like,
I remember you
which
talking about it.
started with Saturn entering Capricorn, which is late December 2017. Now that is going to peak when we have Saturn-Pluto conjunction in January 2020.
Okay.
Now, so, it's a longer conversation, but basically it's both going to impact, for example, how bigger corporations are, basically, from a economic contraction perspective, what we're going to see first, just to kind of give you a heads up, we're going to see first what we call basically reporting recession. So when we start seeing bigger corporations making a little bit less in profit in the next few months, then what's going to happen? They're going to be spending a little bit less, right? And then if we've got any other pointers such as GDP and inflation and any of those other indicators, not to get too deep here, but I will be talking about it because really the biggest thing that I want everybody to understand is that this is going to be an opportunity. So yes, the economic cycle of expansion is ending, but it's also going to be an opportunity, a huge opportunity with Uranus and Taurus to actually equalize wealth in society. So where, for example, tech companies, big pharma, big tech, big government, anything that's really accumulated wealth and Elizabeth Warren, for example, talks a lot about that in the United States. She understands and she says, I know they know how they're making money and all of these things. But so some of those things have gotten out of control, right? Where money is created basically out of nothing. Yeah. So really what we're returning to now with Uranus and Taurus is really we've got to be providing value exchanging value in ways that really, make sense. And so the big good news is going to be, it's going to be a phenomenal opportunity, I believe, and you can mark that as my prediction, an opportunity for small to medium businesses to step up. Perfect. It is going to require a little bit more of, let's make sure that our finances are in order, personal and business, maybe not, spending a little bit more, basically out of control, tightening your operations a little bit. This is really any time in the past where you would have been a little bit more concerned, they're talking about recession. I want you to get curious about it. Anyway, I will be talking about it because it is going to be a huge opportunity for that, wealthy ones would have taken
in the
past.
Of course.
To actually say, what is it that we can do and how this is actually, and back to the age of accountability, where big leaders, big corporations will be brought to table more than we've seen ever in the past.
Well, that actually leads me to my next question, because I was curious if you knew or if you would share your thoughts on the upcoming elections here in both Canada and in the U.S. between Trudeau and Trump. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Any thoughts on the...
I know, cheeky questions, right?
A tricky question that I typically avoid answering, just because I literally, as I was saying earlier, I have my predictions and I will check in what is in the best interest of my community to know. Yes. That's always my first filter. And so while I do have thoughts and I look at it from we talked about this earlier, from a wholeness perspective, and really, what does the world need? What does the community need? What does the planet need right now? What do we need from each other? What type of leaders? And that's really where I see myself, so that, we're not waiting for Trump or Trudeau to be elected or, whatever it is, because, the fact of the matter is, and this is back to that a little bit heavier 2020, that again is going to have huge opportunities for all of us to step up at a grassroots level, also in the United States, especially local level, right? Yeah. This is where it's going to be really, really significant. And then basically when it comes to the elections in the United States, I can tell you that as maybe easy it has felt for Trump to just get by with certain things, it is going to be, and I think we know that already. Yeah. And back in 2017, I just wanted to mention, I shared this when a lot of astrologers were predicting, the end of 2018, when the Great American Eclipse was coming, it was close to Trump's ascendant, and it must mean, he's, and I was saying, I said, I gotta tell you, what I see is it's not gonna go as fast as, unfortunately, as some people expect.
He had too many lessons to teach us, right?
Yes. Now that has shifted. And so, but what I'm also sensing is there are certain things that it's not, and this is where I also try and help people, and this is always bring it back to our own charts, and where I will look at the chart of Canada and the United States and see really what's going on there to understand really what is the bigger picture. So with Trump, we know already that we need a leader such as, Kamala Harris there and, Elizabeth Warren and so on and so forth, that can really bring that really understand. They really have the pulse on the nation, right?
They do.
But at the same time, in Canada, when I look at Canada and what I see happening as well is really we're going to need more of a coalition between the different parties, including the independents. And so as much as I have been more leaning towards the liberal side, I think it's pretty obvious without getting specific, but it's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
I also have to say, because I've been also guided strongly that we as healers need to be more conservative when it comes to, fiscally responsible.
Fiscally, yes, exactly.
So there's that perspective we need to bring in. So sometimes students will heard me say in the class, I believe that the future of the politics is more centrist than we would like to admit to ourselves right now.
Yeah.
But the time for that is not just yet.
Yeah.
Meaning the polarization that has occurred, fortunately or unfortunately, really, because I come from an area where it really, escalated into a full-blown conflict back in '92, right back in Bosnia. So I've seen what polarization and identity politics and all of that really can cause, even in the middle of Europe, where we were like, "Are you kidding me? That's never going to happen here." Well,
you're seeing it. So. You're seeing the thread happen, right? Like it's got to be bringing back some pretty scary memories for you. You're watching the same thread happen. I'm going to be open and honest with you because you were so predictive and you took a leap of faith in yourself and gave a prediction. I'm not one for giving predictions either. And it's not for the sense of ego. It's just, it's scary, right, when we do this. But I did a TV show about, it was in 2016 when Trump was elected. And the next day, I did a show where I had said the next leader will be a female out of California. So I'm going to say that here because I still feel that. And you brought up Kamala Harris, and that's who as soon as I saw her coming through the wings, I was like, that's my girl in California. So I'm going to put it out there on a limb and say that's who I'm going to predict is going to get in next. Fingers crossed. Because you're right, she does have her finger.
What I say is that, and my students know this in the past 2-3 courses, that she has been, I'm going to say, the leader right now in the United States that has most inspired me to talk about. Even though I bring Trump, I talk about Trudeau, because I know I'm here in Canada, and then I find I oftentimes talk more about what's happening in the United States than in Canada. But for Trudeau, with the Sun in Capricorn, and I talked about this, the credibility gap is so important for him to address, and I talk about this in the classes a little bit, I think, in social media as well, why it is important that when you have that strong, and this is what's happening now collectively, so important not to take shortcuts.
That's
where I'm going to keep it.
Perfect. That's well said. So well said. Well, you offer intuitive coaching, so I'm going to get into that because we're pushing time here. You offer intuitive coaching. Please explain to our viewers what that means exactly.
Thank you. So it really is engaging that, our higher self, and really when I am obviously coaching somebody else, that the engagement is bigger than just the conversation that's happening there. That because as you know, Liz, I know we see that all the time, right? There are, even astrologically, there's a lot of information that I could tap into that, and I do consider myself an astrologer first, but really intuitive astrologer.
Yes.
So again, practicing and working in the Akashic records, especially when there is a healing opportunity, for example, in a one-on-one session, is tremendously helpful, because oftentimes I can say, this is what we're seeing, and I'm going to let you know when there's a healing opportunity so that we can shift that once and for all today, right?
Perfect.
And then sometimes we may need more than, getting together once, is basically engaging a healing modality, and really our intuitive faculties to really address the things that we may not see, logically.
Exactly.
So really there is I call that really calling on to our master healers. And so this would be if I'm working with somebody, making sure that their guides are engaged as well, that their higher self is part of and really invited into conversation. So oftentimes I will, while I am sharing intuition, really I'm there to actually empower the client as well. I will oftentimes encourage them to share what's coming through, and then I will validate wherever that makes sense. So it's like really a mutual collaboration of intuitive perception. And
it's beautiful. And you mentioned Akashic Records, and I would be amiss if I didn't bring it up. Can you give a brief explanation of what Akashic Records are for anybody watching this going, what is that?
So Akashic Records are the records of our soul. So basically it's a record of our soul, and really obviously everybody has it, and even anything that's ever created has their own personalized record that records anything and everything that's happened basically, and really our history, our soul's evolution from the moment that we have separated, or if you like extended from the original source or creator. Perfect. So really from a healing perspective, you can think of it as a library of infinite well of information for our highest good and healing.
It's amazing. So definitely. Now, if somebody wanted to touch base with you for either business advice, a report, or Akashic Records, how would they do that?
So thank you very much. So Facebook is probably the easiest way. I get a lot of people reaching out to me through Facebook, including very much my personal page. So feel free to message me there and reach out. We'll periodically share some offers on my personal, or we'll say, this is what we've got going on. Feel free to PM me. So you can message me on Facebook, or if you prefer email, then milada@miladasakic.com would be the way to do that. Milada, MILADA @miladasakic.com. So you can check out my website, miladasakic.com, for whatever I have ongoing in terms of my current offerings.
And I would highly recommend everybody join you on Facebook, because you do these live videos, and they're great. You keep us all informed, and we thank you for that, very much so. Don't hesitate to contact her, folks. You will not regret it. And if you've never had a chart done, this is the gal to get it from. She is off the charts. Amazing. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Thank you so much, Milada, for joining us today. And if everybody could remember to like and share our videos, that would be amazing. We love you from the Gifted Ones. Thank you, Milada.
Thank you very much, Liz, and all your community, and looking forward to sharing with my community as well. Thank you very much, Liz.
Thank you.
Big hugs.
Bye-bye.
And blessings. Bye for now.
Same to you.